You can start.
Okay, good evening, team. So in this session, what we are going to cover is how dates and time zones work, especially related to programming, especially related to how we can handle them. Okay, what all special situations arise, how we can mitigate those situations. Okay, so I'll just share my presentation once again. Is this visible for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so number one, so what we have is like for date and time, we have got different formats across various countries. Okay, so it created one problem was that computer systems, they prefer things to be in this certain specific order. Okay, so for you can see like for these ones like common date formats, Europe, Asia, we are the same ones. We go with the most simplistic, which is DDMM bye. US, Canada, Philippines, they choose a slightly different approach, which is month at the first, then date, then followed by the year. Japan and China, they basically do the reverse of what the Europe and Asia. So they start with the year format and they go towards month and then day. So this created a problem on the submission of data. So to resolve this problem, what do you say? Our programming geniuses or the standards people who set the standards, what they did was they came up with the common idea to which is ISO 8601. So it's a standard. They said, okay, if there are two computer systems communicating, so okay, you can use whatever formats you want on paper, but when there are two computer systems communicating, you will have these particular formats. So currently, I'm just covering the date part, time zone part will cover as the session goes on. Okay. So they said, okay, that strictly it should be in either this format or in this format. So this is the ISO 8601 standard that we follow. Here you can see that it's hours, seconds, okay, uh, hours, minutes, seconds, and then this one is milliseconds. So 800, so 999. If it goes to 1,000, then it will increment the second. Okay, so this is the basis of most of our programming languages, and it's widely used. Like it's used in Python, it will be used in Java. So this is like basically what the entire world has currently settled upon right now. Okay. Uh, Now these are simple. Okay, so let me present a problem to you guys. So let's say there are three friends. Okay, we have got Rohit, we have got Sham, and we have got Geeta. So they all plan to meet at Sham's house, the guy in the middle. Now Rohit lives 45 minutes away. Geeta lives 20 minutes away. They plan to meet at 8 p.m. Okay, so they make up this plan and they try to execute on it. Okay, and this plan now what they do is they calculate. Okay, Rohit says, okay, I'm 45 minutes away. If I leave my house at around 7:15 and the estimated time is 45, I will be reaching at around 8 p.m. Okay, Sham is going to be present at his own house, so he's basically has a zero time limit. And Geeta, she is 20 minutes away. She's a little closer than Rohit. So she says, okay, if I start at 7:40, I'll properly reach by 8 p.m. Now, when all of these three people execute their plan, they sync up quite well, wonderfully on the same, what do you say, at the same time, which is 8 p.m. IST time. Here, what happens is, let's say this same situation happens 10 years afterwards. Okay, in this situation, basically after 10 years, Rohit is in Italy. Okay, Geeta is in Japan. Sham is still in India. Okay, they still make the same plan. Okay, let's have a reunion. It will be again at the same time. These figures are approximate, just to avoid any and date change. I have tried to simplify it. So let's say from Tokyo to Mumbai, it's like 5 hours. Let's say from Rome, again, Italy, it's 7 hours. So, so previously they had a formula. This formula worked wonderfully for them. They again execute the same formula. So, okay, so Rohit said that, okay, when it's 1 p.m. at my local time, I'm going to, it takes me 7 hours to reach Mumbai. So I should be there by 8. So this is including all the time, like not just the flight time, all the check-in, check-out time, and like that. So 7 hours is the actual time. So he says that okay, I should be reaching by 8. Geeta says okay, when it's 3 p.m. here in Japan, I can I have a 5 hour flight ahead of me, 5 hour travel time ahead of me. I can what do you say, adjust for that, and I can reach at around 8 p.m. Now they execute this plan, but neither of them could meet each other. And uh, what did they? The reason behind it is each one is currently now living in a separate time zone. So it's not as simple as they just accommodate the travel time, because they also have to adjust for their local time zones. Okay, what are time zones? So our the entire world is split up into particular sections, vertical sections that you can see here. Let's take, for example, in the Indian section. So it is split between a +5 and a +6, and we are in like a special kind of time zones. Like we are shaded in both the what do you say colors. So we have a +5:30. Okay. Other ones like the UK one, it's quite simply the +0. This is the UTC or GMT time, which we consider as the base for all other time zones. So this entire world is split into different time zones. Now we talked about two countries. So Italy is right here, okay, and Japan is right here. Each has their own. So Italy is +9, okay, and I'm sorry, this Japan is +9. Italy is roughly +1. Okay. So relative to India, basically, if we want to calculate that, so we have got a 5:30 difference, they have got a +1 difference. So basically, the difference between India and Italy, it will be like 4:30. Okay. Same with Japan, you have to take out the difference between +9 and +5:30. Okay. So before I go back into calculation, like I just want to uh, like get an understanding. So like so far what we're explaining. So basically the reason why time zones exist is like we have a rotating globe on which we are. Okay. This rotating globe has all our countries, and each country obviously operates in a daytime. Okay. We cannot all be awake, like the entire earth cannot be awake at a specific time. So our globe, the way the sun goes, like from our perspective, is it rises from the east and it is go towards the west. Okay, so Japan will get the what is the first sunrise. After that, we'll get with India. After that, we'll get it with Italy. Now you can see this particular time window here, like, this beautiful curvature. So here, basically, let's say it's around just around midday in Italy. It's almost towards the evening in India, and it's night at Japan time. Okay, you can see like these lights are there. So US and Japan, these are already in the dark part. So it's like 11:30, 12 p.m. It's most likely like past sunset and approaching midnight in Japan now. India, we still have a few hours of sunlight left, so we can expect it. Okay, we turn this time window. Maybe we are at 4 5 p.m. and in few hours, this as the this sun window slides towards the left, we will also fall into darkness. So here, like this explanation, like okay, Japan is in dark, so Japan has a higher time, so it's probably like 11 p.m. India is like maybe around 4 5 p.m. and Italy is it might be like uh day there, like it might be 12 p.m. 1 p.m. there, like they just half done yet. So any does anybody have any questions on the explanation so far here? Anybody, team? Okay, I'm assuming not. Okay, okay. So here, then basically how, like I explained, how we will we need to do the calculation. Now let's take out the equation of time travel. So let's say that for 1 minute they get the power, to instantly teleport. So let's say Italy to Mumbai and Japan, Tokyo to Mumbai, it's instant. Okay. So in that, what we need to simply consider for or calculate for is the time zone. Okay. So we know that, okay, our destination time zone is GMT 5:30. Okay, what is the relative time difference? Because we observe that on the graph, Japan is at a +9. Okay, Italy has a GMT +1. So relatively, okay, they have to make an adjustment of 4 hours 30 minutes. Japan, she has to make an adjustment of 3 hours 30 minutes, and that too in negative. Okay, because she will be gaining time, Rohit will be losing time because of this window that we just observed. So let's take again this example. So this is like very important to understand. Let's say this again example. Let's say it's 1 p.m. here. It's around let's say 5 p.m. in India, and Japan is well approaching midnight now. It's 11 p.m. here. So when let's say Geeta is teleported directly from Tokyo to Mumbai, what is happening is she's uh, losing time. So it's 11:30 there, okay, and it's what do you say? She's instantly teleported into India, so it's 5 p.m. here. So she's gaining that much of time. Again, like she has already went past. Let's say it's for today's date. Let's say it's for 6th of December. So she has already lived on 6th of December at Japan time. She has already lived up 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at Japan time. Okay, she's gaining that much time. Okay, so it's minus here. Rohit will be losing time. Okay, so here basically what we calculate is, okay, if they're instantly teleported, or if, let's say they're trying to plan a phone call at 8 p.m. Indian time. So Rohit at his local time, it will be at 3:30 p.m. Sham will of course be as it is because he is in sitting right in India, and Geeta, it will be almost midnight for her. She'll have to make the phone call, or she'll have to be ready to be teleported at 11:30 p.m. Okay, because of this time, and in that case, again, then these three are synced again. So this is what you're considering when the time zone is in effect. Okay. Now let's go back to our original problem. So in this case, what we basically need to calculate is, okay, we have a what do you say? We have a calculate. We need to find out this that, okay, when do these guys need to start from their home? Okay, Sham, as it is, he's a chill guy. He's going to be just waiting at his home. Okay, here Rohit, he almost needs to start early morning, 8:30 p.m. Has got a 7 hour what do you say, travel time, and he will reach around 8:30. This is taking in consideration the calculation because Rohit is losing a lot of time. Okay, so even if it's just a 7 hour journey, he is almost traveling almost 11 hours 30 minutes in this case. Okay, like he is what do you say, affected by that much time. Geeta, since she's gaining, so it's not, so let's just say she starts at 6:30, okay, at Japan time, and she reaches at 8 p.m. So it doesn't mean that suddenly she is the fastest woman in the world and she could cross almost an entire half an continent, let's say half the Asian continent from Japan to India in 1 hour 30 minutes. No, that's not possible. The reason is because she's already gaining this much time. So she's gaining 3 hours 30 minutes. Okay. So another way, like in case like this is quite simple to calculate. Like whatever is the start time. One second, so let me share the. Is my Excel visible?
No, your screen sharing stopped for me at least.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, but now it's not.
Okay. Okay. So simple formula. We have the what we say. We have the travel duration. Okay. So we have the destination time. We minus whatever is the time difference that we calculate. So this time difference 4 hours 30 minutes. It is related to the Indian time because that's what we need to call. And this 7 hours this is basically the duration and time duration. Okay. Same with Geeta here. So one question to the people, like whether this should be minus or not. In case this is not minus, so it will actually give you the wrong data. So you need to be careful that, okay, when you're calculating this time zone offsets, so how are you moving like to which country or to which zone you're moving related to? Are you moving away or closer to that zone? Okay, because if this was not minus, then this calculation would never work properly. Another, like in case if you don't want to make an Excel, one thing you can do is like let's say we are taking Tokyo. So this is a site. It's quite popular. I think it's one of Google's first results. Let's say for IST, you want to make sure you're arriving. So we know what is Geeta's travel time. 1 second. Let me do the sharing of entire screen. Okay, so let me just add this. So if you go to something like World Time Buddy, okay, you input in whichever destination you want. Now you know, okay, you are aware of like they have to meet at 8 p.m. Okay, so you choose. Okay, let me just adjust this window. Okay, so you know that okay, this destination time it's like 8 p.m. And what's my travel time? So for Geeta, this is 5 hours. So currently it's showing 6 hours here. So okay, if she has to travel for 5 hours, so she basically needs to leave at 6:30 p.m. Okay, she'll be traveling 5 hours. She'll be landing in India, and at that time it will be 8 p.m. here. So this is like if if you're ever traveling across time zones, you can use like instead of building an Excel. So it's just a secondary like verification of my calculation, and it's just an easy way to calculate like when you will be what will be the destination time of the country you're arriving in this case. So we have this what do you say, we have this calculation. So 6:30 p.m. that was similarly you can check for Rohit if you want. So World Time Buddy, that's the site. I have also linked it in the PPT if you want to check it afterwards. But this is basically how you have to like what do you say, find the difference. So it is always like okay, it is related to the like to the destination in which the event is happening. So let's say you want to book an appointment, you want to talk and you want to have a meeting with someone, anything which is time context sensitive. So in this case, yes, time zones will matter in that case. Okay. Okay, so yeah, and these were my backup screenshots. So for Rohit also, from Rohit to Sham, from Rome to Italy, we have also calculated same. So he has to leave at 8:30 a.m. We had estimated a travel time of 7 hours, and by 8 p.m. when he's landing in India, he will be syncing up with the others to meet properly. Okay, any doubts here, guys?
No.
Okay. Okay, and so now that we have introduced two time zones, there are different ways. So ISO 8601 also has a way of representing time zones. So the first is the most simple, but one of the most effective way is like the one we call a GMT time or Zulu time. So in this case, at this end, the Z represents that it is always in Zulu time or GMT time. Okay, basically meaning that we do not store that timestamp or whatever is the current timestamps, we store it in basically UTC time. Okay, so this approach is basically recommended. Like, okay, I'll actually cover the recommendation part later, but this is the format. So you have got your year, you have got your month, you got your day, then the hours, minutes, seconds, and this Z is for the Zulu identifier. So basically, it's in UTC time. Okay. The second way which we have is for time zone offsets. Now, in the big world map, which we had vertically, which was split vertically with various parts, we saw that okay, India was plus 530, Tokyo was plus 9. So here there's a slight difference. So the first part is same, but here we go like 5 hours 30 minutes ahead of UTC. Okay. Uh, and this colon can also be skipped in the second representation. So it says 0530. So again, this first two are the hours, the 0 is quite necessary, and 30. And if you do just plus 05, so for other countries, like ours is in a like mixed time zone. As I said, that we are in a shade of both the light orange and red, I think it was. So one of like it's a special time zone that we live in. Others, most of the countries, they have a simple hours time zone, so they can use that. Okay. Similarly, how we are used plus. Similarly, you can use a negative offset. So this is away from the GMT. So let's say you talk about Greenland, you talk about other countries. So again, this window, this main window, this comes into play. We have got this particular window and this representation. So let's say this is GMT 0, then -1, -2. Let's say so. US, Canada, it always, because these guys are basically ahead. What do you say? Here, if it's uh, uh, 0, then this, let's say it's 12. What do you say? uh, 12 a.m. So here, let's say the international date has, crossed. So these guys will still be in on 5th December if we are talking about midnight of 6th December, because the this window, the sun window, has not passed over yet. It's still like what do you say, midnight for them. And once it crosses over midnight into 12 a.m., 1 a.m., then it will be crossed into the 6th December line. Okay, so this is the second way of representation. So we have got a vertical, what do you say, bars, and we are going to use those for representing in which time zone offset the user is.
Oh.
Okay, the third and most simplistic and not recommended at all way, but is supported by ISO 8601, is we simply write it and like whatever is the date format followed by whatever is the time format. So this is basically 2:30 p.m. and we do not include time zone. But here, since there is a lack of time zone, we do not we are not able to coordinate properly. So this what this situation will trigger, this will basically trigger the situation of the first international meeting that we explored with Rohit, Sham, and Geeta. Like they were not able to, accommodate for their respective time zones, and hence they couldn't arrange a meeting properly. So this is not recommended at all to use, because it has a drawback. So why time zones matter? So currently, whenever we are building a website, nobody limits themselves to one particular area or city. Most of them, okay, if we have got a feature, we want as many users as possible. So worldwide support of users, okay, support for local time. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to build this kind of Excel if they start showing plus 5:30 and all. Everyone wants it in their convenient local time, okay, and to produce output relevant to user location. Like let's say I've got a cron job, okay, this cron job, it is sending me birthday reminders. Let's say it's a push notification or SMS notification for people critical in my life, okay. So I'm leaving. I, I have this server in India. Okay, it's in operating in IST time. I trigger this for all my users. Now, people who are in US, currently it's midnight there. They're sleeping. They are having a peaceful sleep. They will be disturbed by this push notification. So in that context, also we have to be careful. Okay, whatever is there, like whatever reminders, whatever meeting support is there, it should be related to the user's local time. So this is what it's very, very important that we support time zones. Now for best practices, so we have explored all the options. So ISO 8601, we have explored the standard options and we have explored the time-based options. My recommendation is that the first options, which are the Zulu time or time zone, time offset, those are the best. This is also it is also recommended that you allow users to be picked. What do you say, on basis like you allow them to basically pick their own this time zone. For example, for Google Calendars, if you try to create a new event, okay, this one, okay, so you have this time zone option. So it's showing me, okay, it is GMT plus 5:30. Let's say I wanted some other, let's say Cook's Island time, okay. So it should allow me basically to also schedule an event in this aspects. Oh, okay. I'm currently in India. Okay, my PC time is set to India, but I'm using your site. Your site is having its business on, let's say, Cook's Island. So I need to be able to book related to that time. I should not be again. Basically, we need to streamline the user experience. Okay, again, we want to avoid that Excel calculation, big Excel calculation, as much as possible. If you can provide this option, okay, that start time, like select your own time zone, then do try to provide it for your front end. We also have this particular string. That's an example. Let me just copy this. So if you execute this in any browser, let me just pick this one. Okay. So it will be basically whichever uses that, whoever is browsing your website, it will show their computer's configure time. Might not always be accurate. It also has a drawback. So basically, the like everything when we are talking about time zones, everything has a certain caveat or exception to it. Like I can talk about this entire thing, but again, there are special cases. There are leap year cases. There are like so there's small exceptions. So in this is more of a generic like approach. Like okay, 99% of your cases of your daily use will be covered by this. There are exceptions that you will need to again handle if you are if you need to delve into that much. This is similar to how like countries list we know. Okay, like okay, we have got a list of 200 something 40 countries, but then again then we have got micronations and all. So it's similar to that. Like there are caveats, there are exceptions to this. For backend, what are the best practices? So I would recommend in your database server, like I think Postgres is a standard DB which we are using across our projects, like most of our projects now. So we have got something as for time zone, we have got something as timestamp with TZ. So I would recommend that always store. Internally, if you go delve into the what they say database engine logic, yes, it eventually comes down to UTC, but at a readable level, like for filtering and all, I would recommend yes, like just simply use database with time. Be mindful of your server's time zone. So this is for the EC2 instances or anything. Even lambdas have their own bodies of time zone. So if you're doing something like a new date, it will affect based on which server this date is generated. Okay, like for example, database like has its own time zone. I can show an example for this. Is my DBR visible, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so for example, in Postgres, you have something called a show time zone. Okay, now you might say, okay, Vaibhav, you are currently, your computer is configured to Asia Calcutta. So like, but it doesn't matter. So this is something like a backend configuration. So it doesn't matter what the front end is. Let's say I shift it to, let's say I shift mine to Japan. Okay, so my time has changed. It's currently 8 p.m. in Japan. You can see at the top of my screen. Okay, its time zone is also showing in Tokyo, Japan. Again, check with okay. Show time zone. Again, it's basically the same thing. If I try to select the date for it, it's showing 4 o'clock and 31 minutes. The reason being these are basically backend servers. So like no like there's a node server, each database engine it also has its own configured time zone. So if you're ever generating new dates or trying to filter, so you need to be mindful of these things. Okay, let me just revert my changes. Kolkata. Okay, now what happens if front end doesn't send a time zone? So in this, basically, uh, s- s- let's say I'm design like I get a request. Okay, at 4:30, I want you to schedule an appointment for me, but server doesn't understand 4:30 in what. Is my customer an American customer? Is he from Italy? Is he from India? Is he from Japan? Okay, so how this affects is basically let's say we connect to a server. So I have a server ready for this. Let me just connect. Okay. Guys, is my screen still visible? Because I'm on VPN, it can cut out. Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
Uh,
we can see
okay.
the screen.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, for example, this is an EC2 instance which I am currently SSH into it. Okay. So that's so it is showing that okay, it's currently in UTC time. Okay. Let's say. And here I have a small program. I'll just show you the program also. The program is quite simple. The program is basically okay. Like I'm just generating dates and I'm printing its hours and I'm printing its minutes. So nothing quite complicated. So when I execute this program, okay, in this it will show me that currently it's 11th hour and it's 3 minutes. If I search what is the current UTC time, it should match. Yeah, 11 hours 3 minutes in AM for 6th December. If I execute this, what do you say, the date command, it will also show me the same thing because the server's time zone itself it's in UTC. So any dates I generate, okay, those will be in the UTC. So let's say if I get a customer request, okay, if I do a new date, so it will consider okay, it doesn't have a time zone specified. What is it going to assume? It's going to assume the default. So if the customers what do you say, customers time zone and the server's time zone it matches, then yes, all well and good. Otherwise there will be a definite mismatch because both are in a different time zone. The way we are initializing dates, so currently if I even send something uh, or request anything, or if I'm simply generating a date and storing it without a time zone, so it will show me okay, 11 hours 3 minutes. So this is how the difference happens when we are generating like when we are storing when we are doing two things. One is we all our servers they have a specific time zones which are not matched, and we are storing dates without time zone. So similarly on local, so for example, okay, so here it's matching so this is my IST time. Okay, so 16, which is 4 p.m. and 35 minutes is matching here. So the way you generate dates, it matches here. And I already showed my time zone. I don't know if anybody joined recently. So maybe for those guys. So I'm currently in Kolkata in India time zone. So that's why it's showing my local time here. Okay, so your backend configuration will affect your what do you say, your database configuration, database engine configuration. It will affect how you are generating new dates. And in this case, okay, so how can we what do you say? How can we like uh, prevent that? So one, like the solution is simply like okay, if we either they send an what do you say, they send a time zone and we convert it into that particular time zone when storing, or they just send it in a particular like UTC format, we store that UTC format, or they send a full particular string which is like the like with plus minus uh, offsets. So in either case, but we have to know okay that okay, user is operating in this particular time zone, and that's how we are going to store the date. Okay, what happened if backend doesn't send the time zone? So front end will assume like okay, it's something like local. It's it's a basically they will assume it's a local time. So I've got a demo demonstration for this start. We just start fresh. So I've got a dates table. Okay, in the first one, what we have got is we have got a timestamp 0. So basically, this is not storing any time zone sensitive data. Second one, it is storing. This is the one we talked about earlier. So its data type is timestamp with TZ. So it is storing information of this. Third, okay. So let me generate a new date here. Okay. I've got my date. Okay, so I've inserted these into my dates, and okay, now the first one, it is let's say my what do you say, my front end doesn't know, like, okay, this is in which time zone. So whatever is the local system's time zone, it will pick on basis of that. My appointment date, it's currently showing 16:37. So 1 minute ago, this is, and it's also showing me okay plus 5:30. So if I need to fetch this, so let's say I'm converting both of these dates. So what this syntax does is it basically calculates the first date at IST time and second date also at IST time. Okay. So in second approach, the second column, which is storing the timestamp information, I'm getting a proper date. Okay, like 16:37. That's when the event has to occur, or that's when this record was created. In the first instance, despite of me converting it into Asia Calcutta, it's showing me okay, this event or this appointment is scheduled at 11:07, and currently, since I'm already converting it at into my ASCII time zone, I'm assuming okay, like okay, it's 11:07. This guy has missed his appointment. We are purely be going to be sending the wrong results in this case. So that's why it's important that you use timestamp with TZ. Do not use simply timestamp in your coding. Okay. Another one, the way we can fetch. So here actually, okay. So basically, what is time? Just time zones. I'm basically showing you how they interact with these three systems. So let's say front end interacts with back end interacts with database. Okay. So here also, let's say front end is submitting a date to us. Okay, so we have got two examples here. Focus on line number 17 here, please. Okay, so what we have is we have got a date. It's basically 8 p.m. Okay, it's today's date, and we don't have any specifics of it. Okay, so this is just something front end has sent to your system. Now it's up to you to figure it out. It's up to backend to figure it out. And in Node, what we can do is basically we can also switch the time zones, how the time zones operate. Okay, so the first processor, uh, the first server rather, I'm using, it's in UTC time. The second server which I'm using, it's in like Asia Calcutta time. Okay, so if I try to process and store this, let's say, so it's a simple exercise. What we are going to do is we are going to submit a date. Okay, let the backend pass it, process it, whatever, and then we are going to again print it into the user's local time. Now in this case, I'm the user. Okay, this is my backend server. What I expect is okay, I'm sending a date which is 20 is basically 8 p.m. Okay, so I'm expecting okay, when this server prints this date again, it should print that 20 timestamp. Okay, in my local time. Okay, so I can do that. So I'm logging this. So I'm logging it into two particular formats. One is the ISO 8601, which is the server format, and then I'm printing it into the local ASCII format. Okay, so I have got my local time zone set. Local time zone, I've set it to Asia Calcutta. Let's run this. So here in this case, we are submitting a date. Okay, it's 8 p.m. The server is passing it in the first case. So we have got a UTC server. It's passing it. Now it's logging it back to me. It's saying, okay, Vaibhav, on 7th December at 1:30 a.m., you have got this appointment. This is not what I wanted at all. Okay. Second, because it's matching. So this is just a pure coincidence. Okay. Why? Because I'm submitting a date. I'm in IST. Server is in IST. In this case, yes, it is matching. So this is what the server is logging, and this is my customer time, local time. So 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. it is matching, but this was purely coincident. The reason because my time, my current time, and this server's time, it is matching. Okay. Now let's take a different approach. Now suppose, so this is the basically the same program. Let me switch back. Date simple and time zone. Okay, so basically the same program, but only thing which are changing is the date. Okay, So API sent, here you can see there's no time zone. In my time zone node program, I'm saying, okay, like this is the Zulu time. Okay, so this 14:30, if you add 5:30 to it, you will get basically 8 p.m. Okay, so I'm sending a what is I'm sending timestamp, so I can run that. Let me expand this. Okay. In this case, what I'm getting is, okay, it's logging me the server time. What's the first server working in? It's working in UTC time. I'm getting a certain date log. Okay, this is not readable for me. I'm not a machine. I do not understand what are this. I do not understand what is that. So I'm logging it into my local time, 8 p.m. That's correct. Second server is operating in IST time zone. I'm logging that again. I don't. This is not readable to me. I'm just a non-tech guy. This is some jargon. What is that? What is this? What are this? This is readable to me. This is what I've observed and written in my from my husband. That okay, on 6th December. Okay, in both cases the dates are right. At 8 p.m. I've got my appointment. So here in this case we have got an accurate date because front end is sending us the full timestamp in this case. Anybody has any doubts on this? Okay. Okay. So regarding, let's come back to ISO 8601. So here I want to talk about. So every time I would recommend like backend, please stick to ISO 8601 format. Do not like deviate away from this. For front end, it is recommended like FEDs, whatever formatting you want to do, you format it on your front end. So whether you want it in a slash format, whether you want it in a dash format, whether you want it in a, let's say, most of the time people want the month in like words. So whichever formats you want, you render that you at front end, but for the communication part, stick to the our standard ISO 8601. So this is between the front end and back end communication. Now what happens? Okay, this is fine. So I've been strongly, advocating storing of time zones everywhere and being mindful of it. What if you don't want to do this? Then we have got default methods which are supported by browsers that you can, convert a date into UTC string. So it is recommended that all your server configurations, let's say the way you're generating dates, your database. So you specifically. So there are also options across all the programming languages, or there are add-ons packages that allow you to do that. Like for example, in my current code, I'm using something called as a package called this date FNS time zone. Okay, what it will basically allow me to do is, if you check this, so it can basically let me calculate. Okay, I have a date sent. Like in this case of simple date, I have a date sent. I want to calculate in a particular time zone. So I would recommend you directly use the packages. This is something that's already been solved in most language. I would recommend you do not reinvent the wheel. Okay, so we have got packages that can handle these kind of, like if you want to generate a date in a specific like 8 a.m. Italian time. So do not generate a date first in IST, then you increment its offset and add that many number of hours. Let's say 4:30, which is the difference. Not recommended. There are packages that let you do that, that let you validate whether the time zone string you're passing is valid. So simply use those packages. For this, if you're not going to, like, let's say you've got some old project, like very old database in which previously, let's say, time zones were not supported, then it's recommended that all your system configurations or the way your packages are generating dates or handling dates, you strictly stick to UTC. Okay, it is recommended there's no mismatch. So I would recommend that just keep, let's say, if your node server is there, that is charge of generating new dates, so let that node server do the work. The reason is, if there is a mismatch, let's say you're doing new date here, okay, then you're using now function, and the now function which I previously showed. So let me just show that again. Okay, this now functions. So let's say both the server, what do you say, server time zone and database time zone is different. Then again, you have got a mismatch, especially if you're using in the same query. So it is recommended that you keep everything in sync. It is recommended that you stick to UTC. Do not deviate from it. Do not try to store it into ASTRA time, because all your servers are in ASTRA, uh, because it will create a lot more trouble. Uh, Now, this is basically like the crux of whatever time zone. Now, historically, what happened? Like one famous example here is Amelia Earhart. So especially for the, I think the girls might know her more, but she's quite famous. So she's basically one of the first. I think one of the first famous women pilots who tried to, who flight a lot of trips solo without any help. She was quite clever, but her last flight, unfortunately, she passed away, and her remains were never found. And one of the reasons why it happened was because of a telegram she had sent, and she was flying across 3 time zones. So here, as you can see, uh, basically her telegram said, keep plan for midday takeoff. Okay, please have meteorologist there, and if it reaches me in time, and blah 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 blah, and will broadcast our quarterly past our GCT. So GCT was a time zone that we're using. So she was operating in GCT time zone. Okay, there was a USS ship called Itasca that was operating in minus 11.5. So previously, guys, we had explored the time zone. So you know that US is in the minus time zone because they are left of the GMT ones. Okay, and Howland Island, it was minus 10.5. So basically, her goal was, okay, she's going to take off from an island. She's going to fly across a stretch of island. If needed, she's going to be guided by Itasca, and she's going to try to land on either the Itasca if there's an emergency, or go all the way to Howard Island. Uh, so in this case, what happened was they were going to broadcast half hour hourly, quarter past hours GCT. Okay, so they have a specific time, so you cannot be on the radio all the time, talking all the time. So basically, you're online for that 1 minute. You have your headphones plugged in for that. Okay, is anybody transmitting? No. So here, what the main problem was, she was flying in a different time zone. Okay, Itasca was in a different time zone, and How Island was in a different time zone. These, they couldn't manage to communicate because there was obviously a time issue. There was also a radar issue that was secondary, but this time issue was main. And because nobody, like some people did notice it, but they never corrected her on this time zones issue. And unfortunately, she never could, find the Itasca. She couldn't land, and uh, basically she passed away. Like her remains were never found. So, and this, one of the major reason is like she didn't account for like multiple time zone switches flying across the ocean. So yes, a little dark example, but it is like quite important to notice that okay, this will affect like uh, especially if you're on a critical project, let's say health services or not. Like we have got donor programs. So programs, let's say India is still a minor country, but in Europe you have to be very careful. Let's say you have got a donation, like somebody died, but their organs are live, and another country you found a matching recipient, so they have to coordinate it well. Okay, they have to coordinate that. Okay, when is this like icebox containing the organ going to arrive, when the surgeon team going to be available for the transport. So yes, it does matter in quite some fields. Now, relevant topics, like if you guys would like to, explore more, since we cannot cover all, we couldn't cover rather, we're almost out of time here. So daylight savings time is something that we have to, account for. Then syncing of systems also happens. Like for example, you have to account for leap year to leap second. There are also unique time zones that basically it should be handled, like handled already if you're using the default, but like for Nepal, it's in GMT plus 5:45, so it's a plus 45 minutes. So typically, most of the nations that are in like ours, India is another exception, slightly less unique, exception because it's an third year gap which we are using. And then we also have to account for the international dateline when that is being crossed. So yeah, we still have lots of uh, things to explore. It's a very like interesting field topic, I would say. The deeper you dive into it, the more nuisances, more edge cases you find to cover. And then I guess we are going to have another edge case, which is like if people are put on mask, then we'll have to figure out some other way to support that also. And here again, that's it from my side. Any questions, please? Somebody raised their hand. Yes, Tata sir.
Maybe could you please add one more thing as well?
Mhm.
Daylight saving.
Oh, okay, so daylight saving basically we have a so I'll like base this off on my info. So in October, and then again this revert back in, I think it's around March. I might not be accurate with this month's guide, so just bear with me. So here basically you have to there's a system change. So here basically programmatically how you can handle it is you need to like if you are taking timestamps, let's say you are taking a start timestamp and an end timestamp. So let's say if somebody starts at let's say I started this at 1602, and then daylight time is triggered, it is rolled back 1 hour. So it doesn't mean I gave a lecture for negative 2 minutes if I start from 1602, and then again it as soon as it hits 17, which is 5 p.m., it again rolls back to 6. So it doesn't mean I given like a lecture for negative 2. So in that case, you basically need to make sure that okay, these are the time zones that will be affected, and you need to like add a special edge case. Okay, like whatever time duration is there. So you need to keep a track of the start time, and you need to keep a track of the end time. It is recommended like that you handle this duration tracking on backend side, because front end obviously user clocks are going to revert back 1 hour. So in backend, it is recommended your system basically keeps going as it is. It doesn't have a reset in that. But again, European, what do you say? European Parliament, if I'm not mistaken, there are strong petitions this year to totally remove that for this only reason, because there are obviously a lot of communication errors. There are a lot of problems caused when trying to account for this. So payment systems and all, basically we have something called as okay, is the token expired? Okay. Uh, uh, this rollback happens, and okay, the token had a validity of 30 minutes, but again, since it's rolled back down, how are we going to track? So backend, it is recommended, like for your servers, it is recommended not to keep it synced with DST time. You can uh, if you need to, what do you say, if you need to track such an instance, like that the user is sending the start and stop input, so it is recommended you also add an additional layer of protection so that this duration does not go into negative uh, for this daylight savings time. And Datta sir, did it answer your question?
Not for me. It was for all.
Okay, 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 team. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, I guess not. In case if you do have, then let me know. I'll be sharing the PPT with Dasa, so you can have a go through. I'll also, my node program is currently a bit messy, so I'll, show that. 1 second, I think I didn't show. 1 second. 1 second, wait, I think I missed one part. So I did. I think I didn't show how front end reacts to the dates. Check- check it. So okay, so these were the dates that we had, had added into this table, base table. So basically, it's showing me proper ones. Okay, like 437, this date with timestamp was shown. Here, if this user's timestamp is again changed, let's say if I jump back to Japan, I refresh the same thing. It's Japan. It's showing it again 20, right? So it will show me 807. So again, like it will follow me properly. But this is also like example. Okay, like locally how like these date objects will change based on the user's time zone in this case. Okay, team. If there are no more doubts, then uh, I think that's it with the session.
Vaibhav, I have
That's
a
it.
doubt.
Sure. Ask.
So Vaibhav, what will be the like advantages or disadvantages if we use epoch instead of date time to save in terms of DB and save like as a request response manner there in terms of data like conversion? Epoch, EPUCH.
Yes, yes. So, okay. So, for those who don't know, what is epoch? Epoch is basically from the time of 1970, we started keeping a track of how many milliseconds have occurred. Okay, so we know that okay, X number of milliseconds, so we can convert those into this year, month, day format. So he's asking, okay, so please regarding this, basically, it takes up a lot of integers. I think they're already running a problem with epoch. I think it has a fixed length. This length, I think it's going to be what do you say, crossing over into the next digit. Like when we go from tens to 100, like from 99 to 100, we basically get a plus one digit. So like that, epoch is what do you say, it is uh, allowable or calculatable I think till 2038, and after that again. So most of the system, like previously in our age, in our generation, memory and this is cheap, but there's still legacy systems where like people were optimizing up to kilobytes of data. Those systems do not have a that increased counter. They planned it, okay, we have the system for 40 years, let's say from 1970 to let's say a maximum 2020, 2030, pulling the lifetime. But and basically it's a very what do you say, very CPU intensive way of calculating dates each and every time, because every time you want to read something, every time you want to convert it back, and that kind of. And again, main thing is like I feel integers, like integers, it will take up a lot of space instead of a specific format that you already have, and it's supported. It's also not very human readable. So currently, like current dates, I can like Zulu time, I'm aware, okay, this is like the approximate date. Like we can have a quick glance and figure it. Epoch dates are like not at all, or epoch timestamps rather, they are not at all readable. So I think that's one reason. And currently, the world has, what do you say, settled on ISO 8601 system. I would again suggest, like, let's not reinvent the wheel. If the entire world is, fixed on, but they have fixed on one communication method, I would say let's go with that.
Okay, got it.
Okay, VV, you can also include some frameworks which make this work easier. Like for developers, there's some modules like Moment and other things that you can list down those modules, which makes converting time zones from one format to another and vice versa very easy. Okay.
Correct, correct. Actually, this was intentionally skipped from my side.
Mhm.
Reason being, this information gets outdated quite quickly. Like for example, when we started the web team training program, we were requesting everybody to use request.js npm package. So that was obviously it got outdated very fast. Now everybody's on Axios, got other packages. So this, to my information, this information is searchable with a little bit decent amount of Googling skills. Because there are lots of guides on this internet, so that's why. And the second reason is sometimes these packages, they have vulnerabilities. They get outdated really fast. So I would just suggest to all the developers, like, just keep up to date with the stack. And I would not recommend any fixed particular package. My recommendation, the one I had used like for backend was Date FNS FNZ, sorry. You can test it out, but again, it's like uh, what do you say? It's recommended that you research on your own and pick whatever is the latest tech, because again, like, things get outdated very quickly in today's world. Any other question, guys? Okay then. That's sir. Please,
Yeah,
if you want to
thanks,
add
Vaibhav.
anything.
Yeah, thanks
Okay.
for sharing your knowledge. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, team. Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.